Welcome to episode 36 of What Class Inspires You. I'm your host, Faith Wang, and today I have with me Ria Sharma and Aaliyah Omran. Alicia Gupta, my friend and fellow Humanity Rising ambassador, launched the What Cause Inspires You podcast as a way for students to share the service they're doing in their communities. We encourage youth like Aaliyah and Ria, who are making a change to improve the world, to speak up about their stories and become a leader in the movement. Ria Sharma, president of nonprofit Limitless Lacrosse, and Aaliyah Omran, vice president, are both female athletes passionate about lacrosse and spreading awareness. Limitless Lacrosse that provides opportunities and support to the future generation of female athletes through lacrosse mentorship and experiences. Girls lacrosse is a more recent uprising sport, and kids typically aren't introduced to it before the 8th grade, whereas sports like soccer and gymnastics are introduced to kids as they begin to walk. Limitless Lacrosse allows the youth to learn from high school mentors and others, to donate lacrosse equipment and funds, share lacrosse experiences on a blog portal, and also inspire lacrosse interests. We're recording this presentation and it will be posted shortly on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. Be sure to check out www.humanityrising.org and sign up for our email newsletter to keep updated with all the podcast links. Thank you so much for joining us, Ria and Aaliyah. Everyone out there who's listening and I myself are excited to learn more. So are you ready to get started?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, I'll start off with my first question, which is, what gave you the idea to start Limitless Lacrosse?
All right. So what gave us the idea to start Limitless Lacrosse? Our main focus was that Limitless Lacrosse would be an organization, since girls lacrosse is a more recent uprising sport, as you said, and most girls aren't introduced to the sport itself until after 8th grade, whereas other sports they are. And over time, obviously, athletes do get better. And so sports like soccer and gymnastics, the kids get more competitive in high school than they can with lacrosse, because most people just learn about the rules in the sport in 9th grade itself. And so we strive to make girls lacrosse a better known option for parents to enroll their kids in at a younger age. And so as female athletes develop, they would gain more experience and they would create new opportunities for their future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely have seen that myself, because I have friends who play lacrosse too, and I honestly didn't know that they played until high school, so thank you for identifying that problem. So out of Limitless Lacrosse, who's your target audience?
So our main focus is to target parents, athletes, and coaches. And so for starters, we hope to target potential athletes because they'd be able to explore a sport that, again, like Ria said, isn't as mainstream as football or soccer. And we would also hope to target current athletes as well, where they would be able to get more experience in the field of lacrosse and develop new skills and even meet new people that from totally different places. We also want to target parents by introducing lacrosse to their kids, which parents, as we know, most likely have a big influence on their kids, especially at a young age. They can be able to introduce the sport of lacrosse to their kids at a young age and encourage them to keep participating until college or high school or however long they're passionate about. And then lastly, there are a lack of coaches in lacrosse, and we would love to be able to spread awareness to get more coaches involved, especially like with our Limitless Lacrosse. It'd be an awesome opportunity for coaches to become more involved. Even though it may be virtual this year, it'd be a great opportunity.
For sure. So how will you and Limitless Lacrosse make a difference in your community?
So at Limitless Lacrosse, we're raising funds and promoting initiative to provide opportunities and support for young female athletes in grade school, including 3rd to 8th grade. And we hope to inspire them to become interested in lacrosse. And we believe in taking action through lacrosse mentorship and education in order to approach the lack of awareness facing the sport with girls in grade school in our community. And not to mention the importance of like advancing the competitiveness of the game itself with more experienced players at the high school level. And so supporting our efforts will make a measurable difference in the lives of incoming and current athletes.
For sure. I definitely appreciate that you guys are trying to encourage younger girls to get into lacrosse, especially because I think there's a pretty limited amount of sports that girls are encouraged to pursue when they're in middle school. So definitely an important cause too.
Yeah.
How does this empower female athletes in particular?
So like we already said, like introducing the sport at like an early age, they'll be able to build skills, experience, utilize their skills when they're older. And so whether it's like club lacrosse or high school lacrosse, they'd be able to apply all of these things. And we hope to build competitiveness in female athletics in our community. As you might know, like even now, female athletics, they're not taken as seriously as men's sports. So I mean that's happened since however long, but with more recognition to the sport, females will be able to empower one another and build a bigger lasting community. So yeah.
100% agree. All three of us are female athletes, so I definitely see this big gap between our sports and boys' sports. So that's definitely important to start from a young age, just to encourage that. So you mentioned a mentorship program earlier. So how does that work?
So we pair up interested young athletes with high school level lacrosse players as mentors, and they can learn about the sport and ask questions, hear why the girls love the sport, receive advice, learn the basics of lacrosse. And we're accommodating with like Zoom calls as training and drills and practice in mentorship groups. And hopefully we eventually want to be able to play with the kids as mentors, but that's postponed until we have enough equipment and everything to be able to do that in person, especially with COVID. So the whole mentorship program is just not only to walk into the idea of starting a brand new sport with no guidance, because the mentors are there to guide you. So that's the whole idea behind the mentorship program. And hopefully younger girls like 3rd to 6th grade wouldn't want to go into a sport not knowing any of their friends or not knowing what the sport's about, because at a young age they wouldn't want to willingly go into a sport knowing nothing about it. So hopefully this will help them feel more comfortable. That was our initiative behind the mentorship program.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think it's important for those girls to have kind of a role model too. And you guys would definitely make amazing role models for those girls.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned collecting funds and donations. How is that working too?
So yeah, we as of now we collect used equipment to help provide supplies for like girls who are just starting out, or like if they don't have it, they need a spare. We're more than willing to provide that for them. And for those who are wanting to donate used equipment, we even make it convenient for them, and more than happy to pick it up from whatever location is best for them, usually within our area, of course. But yeah, and then we also, besides collecting old and new equipment, we collect cash and checks to like for our funds. And I know for me, like the first time I started lacrosse, I didn't want to go buy $100 stick and $20 goggles where like the amount just added all up. I didn't even know anything about the sport. So my school, like they had extras and spares, and that was really awesome because I used it and I loved the sport and I bought my own. So yeah.
For sure. That's definitely a smart way to promote the sport more too. How are you building connections and spreading awareness about Limitless Lacrosse?
So on our website, we have a portal of an interactive blog, and there we would share and learn from experiences that others post, yourself post, or coaches post. And you can inspire with your story, you can share advice, teach skills, post drills, and you can learn and listen from lacrosse lovers. So here's like an example of what our blog looks like on an iPhone, and you can look at videos, photos, tutorials, drills, stories, motivation, anything of the sort. And it's kind of a lacrosse portal just to communicate within the lacrosse community. And I think that was a great way, especially since not everything is in person right now, to just make sure everyone has access to great techniques to become better athletes and even explore the sport. So.
For sure. Especially as a team sport, I definitely think having a community is important. So it's amazing that you guys are able to provide that even virtually.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned earlier how you're operating under COVID. Could you talk a little bit more about how you're accommodating with it?
Yeah, so along with the interactive blog that Ria just touched on, we also like as we have a team and we've showed all our members on our blog as well, but we put together team Zoom calls to go over new opportunities we receive and just like ways we can spread our mission statement spread our mission through local Facebook pages and other social media platforms. But we also make sure to post frequently to keep like the public and our supporters up to date with what we have planned for the future and new events that their kids could participate in virtually. And as of now, we're not having in-person training for like the mentorship program because of COVID, because we want to ensure everyone's safety. And then lastly, we have also hosted online Zoom classes for like younger kids to get just like a gist of what the sport involves and just like a few drills to start them off. So yeah.
Awesome. That's definitely a good way to kind of transition a sport online because that's definitely really hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good that you're able to continue doing it. So could you guys talk a little bit about how the listeners out there can connect with you and learn more?
So we hope to spread awareness about lacrosse by using our social media platforms, and listeners can communicate with us through these socials. We have a website, we have multiple social medias, and along with that, the interactive blog is a great way to get our attention. And we're very frequently involved in the chat icon in our website. So if there's any questions, even about lacrosse or our program, we would be happy to answer them.
Awesome. I'll also be attaching these in the chat in case you want to find those links right now. For everyone out there listening, if you have any general questions about the What Cause Inspires You podcast series or are interested in applying as a student or expert speaker or would even want to volunteer, email aliciagupta2020@gmail.com or info@humanityrising.org. Humanity Rising is a student-led movement to create a better world through service. If you haven't already joined the movement, you can do that at humanityrising.org. We also feature a number of service opportunities, including anti-bullying activities, which is our signature program. You can build your service resume, earn service learning hours, and most importantly, be a part of something greater than yourself and help better our world. So be sure to follow our Instagram and Facebook pages to stay updated on our scholarship opportunities, future podcasts, and events at humanity.rising and at What Cause Inspires You. Thank you everyone for attending and for listening in, and we hope to see you again for next week's podcast. And thank you again, Aaliyah and Ria, for joining us today.
Of course.
Thank you for having us.
Not a problem.